Recording effort number 4. Welcome to GVM support webinar number 3. Our topic today is course administration. This is the second part of a 3-part series on course administration. Today's topic will be enrollment policies, email templates, and certificate management. Under enrollment policies, we will discuss direct enrollment policy, additional enrollment information that you can add to your policy, requiring of withdrawal approval in your policy, and having multi-step approvals in your enrollment policy. Also, we will look at how an organization enrollment policy can be used in different ways to manage enrollment in a course. First off, let's have a look at what an enrollment policy is in a course and what we can set up in an enrollment policy. So let's open up a module. In a module, we will see under module properties, 2.5, we will find define enrollment policy. And in that, we'll find a few options that we can turn on and off, which will decide how the enrollment process works for this particular course. The first section here is enrollment security. So basically, we are identifying who can and cannot enroll, whether they can withdraw, and whether they can complete themselves in the course. So the first one, as you can see, says, this module program currently allows public access. What that means is, if when someone searches and finds this course, they'll be able to enroll into that course. If this is unticked, it means that only people who are under these set criteria, either certain users or certain organizations that are set over here, can enroll into it. Ticking this allows anyone to enroll into this course. The second one is allow self-enrollment, which means learners can search, find, and enroll themselves in. The third one is allow user to withdraw, which means people who have enrolled into the course can withdraw when they want. And the next check says that if that one is checked, it means that they have to put in a reason when they want to withdraw from the course. The fourth one is allowing users to mark their courses complete by themselves. This comes in handy when you have created a course that is actually, let's say, a PDF, and you want people to read through that PDF. Now, as PDF is not a SCORM course or a course that can complete itself, there has to be a mechanism to mark that complete. So this brings up a button at the bottom of the screen that says mark as completed, and clicking that completes the course. And because it says completed self-asserted, which means it tells the admins or whoever is looking at the reports that the learner marked themselves complete in that particular course. The last one is allow status change to be made at any time, which means once the course is complete, it can be made back into in progress or not started anytime without any sort of rules being managed. As you can see, an example is that it will ignore any standard business rules. So it is by default turned off unless it is absolutely required. The second part of it is allowing re-enrollment into a course. So if a person has gone through a course and has completed it, or completed self or started or any of these statuses over here, you can set the system to say they cannot re-enroll into the course or redo the course for a certain number of days. Or you can totally lock that course down. An example would be certain courses you're not allowed to sit until a certain number of time has passed. For example, test of English language as a second language, that is. That exam, once you have sat for it, does not allow you to retake the exam for the next 60 days. So in which case, if this was that course, we would set 60 over here to say that once someone has completed it, or whether they've passed or failed, they cannot retake this course after 60 days. They can only take this course after 60 days. Or we can say it's completely disallowed. The next options we see here are related to what we mentioned right at the top. It's linked to that. So if that one is unticked, we will need to set either of these two to say who is allowed to enroll into this course. The next part here is the main part, which is the enrollment policy that we are going to discuss in more detail. But before we go into that, let's have a look at this last section here, which says allow reopen, which basically means that once a learner has completed the course, they can reopen the course and redo it. Now, this is different from re-enrollment. Re-enrollment creates another transcripts or another entry of enrollment for that user. But reopen means that once that transcript is completed, clicking reopen will reopen that transcript. It's not a new entry. It's not a new enrollment. It is the same enrollment reopened or made available. Now, going back to enrollment policy, which we were discussing. Now, over here, you set a policy name that will control how this enrollment for this particular course will work. We will select a policy and set it here. So how can we create a policy? So if we click these three dots over here, it will open up the enrollment policy editor. You can also get to enrollment policy editor through the Manage Center under Learning, Enrollment Settings, Enrollment Policy Editor. Now, when you open the enrollment policy editor, you'll find that there would be at least two default policies if yours is a completely new system already set up for you to use. One would be the default policy, and the other one would be your default two-step enrollment policy, which is basically a two-step approval enrollment. The default policy is the one that gets attached to a course as soon as you create it, and it is a very straightforward policy which allows people to just, as soon as they enroll, to go and do the course, no approvals required. And it is turned on by default, and we can see that the only email that's attached to it is a confirmation of enrollment, and that too is the default one as well. We will look at emails in the email template section when we look at that part of the topics. Over here, what we can see is that enrollment confirmation emails are going out for group enrollments. There's none going for self-enrollment. There is definitely for auto-enrollments. And if it is waiting for approval, users can still withdraw. So this is just one very quick, simple policy that allows users to enroll. We can edit this policy if we want. If we want, we can change this and make changes as required. We can also edit the withdrawal details to say, yep, withdrawal requires an approval. We can also add some additional information. Usually, we do not modify this default policy. What we do is we make a clone of that policy, like that, and name it something. So let's say guest policy, and we make changes to that policy. So we can add some more, let's say, new emails. So let's say we want to also allow this enrollment and confirmation to go out for self-enrollment. We can say allow approval withdrawal, and we say, okay, also ask the user for approval. So we can make some changes as we like, and then just save that. And once we have saved that, going back to our course, we can now click that 3 button and be able to add our policy. To the course. Like that. Now, there are a few more types of policies that's available. We looked at the direct enrollment policy, and we have looked at how you can add enrollment information to a policy. We can have a look at that again over here. If we go into learning, we go into enrollment policy editor. And over here, you've got the edit additional enrollment information. What this can do is you can add some extra information. When people are enrolling into a course, you can ask them for some extra information about their enrollment. So, for example, do they need a car to to and from where they are? So, like, needs car. Do they need a hotel to be arranged? We can get their mobile number, for example. So all of these we set up and we save it, and this then is asked for when we search for courses and enroll. So let's have a look at how this policy will work. So let's open up a course that says and we attach our enrollment policy, the one we created, which is the test policy. Now, if we want to enroll into that course, the fraud and awareness course over here, and says enroll. And as soon as I click enroll, you see those additional information have come up, and it is asking me for those information. And I go and click, and we are enrolled into it, and then the course launches. So this is how the enrollment policy can be used to request additional information. We can also have a policy that is one step or multiple step of approval. So we can have a policy that requires us to go through approval process. So over here, if we have a look at the default two-step policy, we will notice along with all the features that we saw for the default policy, we can see some extra stuff as well. Like, for instance, we can see multiple emails now attached to this policy. It's like an approval notification, or if someone's denied approval in a course, all of these. And then if someone wants to transfer a session, we've got that, which is not set, of course, but we can set that as well. Also, over here, we can see that there is two extra steps over here. One is approval step 1, another is approval step 2. So like for approval step 1, what it says that is that once the user enrolls into it, this will go to their direct appraiser for approval. And once they have approved it, the user can move on to the next step, which is basically a course approver who can then approve the course, and then the person is actually enrolled into the course. So you can actually have multiple step of policy or approvals. You can have as many approval steps as you want. So let's create one for of our own, which will have one approval step. So let's start by just cloning the two-step policy that we have got here. So we'll call it one-step enrollment policy. And what I'll do is over here in my one-step policy, I will get rid of the second step of approval and just leave the first step. Save that. And then let's attach this to a module. For example, this one, occupational health and safety one. .5, and I go and click those three dots and select my one-step enrollment policy. The arrow selects it. I save that. Done. Now, if I go and try to enroll into that course, occupational health and safety, try to enroll, it is asking me that this is an enrollment approval request, and it wants a justification for me, or a reason from me to why I want to do the course. So let's say and I submit that request. Now, this will go to my manager, and my manager would see it as an approval, a course request approval sitting at their end. So let's assume that I am manager now logged in, and I would see it under the Review tab and under Course Approvals. And when I go to my course approvals, I'll see that this person has requested to enroll, and that's their reason. So I can either approve or deny it. Withdrawal approval policy. This is also in the same place as the enrollment policies that are set up. So if we look at one of the enrollment policies, we will see that under Enrollment Policy Editor again, there is an option to say withdrawal details. And over here, we can say enable withdrawal of approval. And we can say who gets to approve that withdrawal and and the email that would go out for after that approval is granted. So we can set up approvals for withdrawals as well. Next, we will have a look at the organization enrollment policy. So organization enrollment policies are set under organization maintenance and under the organization enrollments and payments over here. So if we put a one-step policy, let's say, the one we created as the organization policy for this organization, then what we can do is when we go into a learning module or a course, we can go and say under 2.5 that normally use the default policy, but for anyone who is from this particular organization, use a different policy. Let's say the test policy. Test policy. And in addition, I can say that allow a configured organization enrollment policy to take precedence over this course policy. So what that means is whatever policy I have declared here, the enrollment policy that I have set up, which is the one-step policy, under the organization of unassigned, will take precedence. Or any other organizations, if they have an organization policy assigned to it, that will take precedence, that will come into effect and override any of these policies that I set up over here. So that's how the organization enrollment policy works. Now, next on our topic, we have email templates. We will look at how we can create email templates and add recipients and add parameters and also add attachments to email templates. Now, as you may have all seen under learning modules and under module properties, as well as under session properties, there are quite a few emails that you can set up or connect to the module and for different purposes. So it could be confirmation of enrollment, it could be a reminder, it could be a pass-fail, or notification for homework, and et cetera, et cetera. So all of these, before we can put them into the courses, these emails would need to be set up under email preference, under email template editor. To get to the email template editor from Manage Center, we will go to Communicate, and under Communicate, we have got Email Template Editor. Just like the enrollment policies, there are a few default ones set up. You can use them, or you can create your own. So for example, there are a few created over here. Let's have a look at one of these. Let's have the session completion notification one here. So you'll notice that over here, we have got few things that we can do. One is we can specify a sender of that email, which is a user in the system. So by default, it is the system admin, default system admin, but you can choose to specify another sender of the email. And over here in the recipients section, you can select who gets these emails, either as a CC or as directly, or you can also omit any of the default ones that's there. So the list here is basically the approver, the participant of the learner, the manager of the learner, their HR manager, a course instructor, default systems approver and default system administrator, someone who is able to review performance appraisal, super reviewer of performance appraisals, an organization approver, or it could be another user on the system, a specific user. Or if it can also be an external person who will be receiving these emails. So you can add as many emails as you want by separating them by comma. So this sets up the emails recipients. Then once you have set those up, we go into the message part of it. You can type in the subject, and then you start typing in the text that you want in the email. You can format it using the WYSIWYG editor. And also, this allows you to do is to add parameters to email templates. So for example, if you wanted to, let's say, also put the name of the course ID, let's say, if you wanted to put the course ID section. So we put our cursor where we want it, and we just go append, and that will create that parameter there. And when the email goes out, we will see the course ID beside the course title, like that. You can also attach files to an email as attachments. So you can click on Assign Attachment here and select a file that is on the repository, and you can attach that, and that will be also sent as an attachment in that email. Or you can choose to send the map and training center maps and facility maps for a face-to-face learning, or some references that the users would need to read that is also attached to a course, and you can just tick those, and it will read all of those from the course setup and send those through. So that's basically how to set up an email template. Next and last in our topic is setting up certificates and how we can use certificate templates to put values in a template. How we can set up app expiries and renewals, and how we connect a certificate to a learning module. And we will also look at how we can upload certificate information into the system using a CSV loader. First off, to set up a certificate, we would go from Manage Center, Learning, Certification Manager, Certification. And we'd click Create Certification to create a new certificate, like so. You'll need a code. So let's say we'll call it test set, and we'll call it we'll put it into general category, and we'll say this is a course completion certificate. We'll make it active, issued by, and a little bit of description. And award method is immediately, or we can say we can award this certificate on a particular date. So even if a user finishes the course at a date before the certificate date is to be awarded, they will not get the certificate then. Only when that date comes in, the certificate will be awarded to their history, and they will see that certificate appear on their transcripts. So let's say immediately over here. And we can also select an email with the certificate to say which certificates that they have been awarded the certificate. So let's say something like that. And we can also have an exam that they have to pass to get this certificate. Then there is the option to attach a template. So a certificate template is basically a PDF form that has some fields in it, and the field names need to be in line with the field references that have been provided by NetD. So fields like this, certificate ID, name, code. You can have a course ID, name, and the user's name, and all these fields that you can attach to the form, and these will get filled up when a certificate is awarded to the learner. And we can also say print, allow users to print this certificate, so they can print the certificate. We will see if there is a certificate that we can attach. I can create one, a template that I can upload. Let's say one of the competitions. Let's say this certificate of participation, or rather a certificate of attendance. I've uploaded the template. I'll attach the certificate template. And then also in the next section, I can say how the expiration of the certificate works. So if I select never, the certificate never expires, or I can say that it expires every year. So let's say 365 days from the day it's been awarded. And I can say, yep, give them a grace period until the end of the month. And then once the certificate expires, send them a message, maybe 30 days before it expires, so that they can go and do it. And when this certification expires, I want them to get enrolled into a particular course, let's say. So I want them to do this Child Safe Standards course once this certificate gets expired. And that's how you would create a certification. Not all of these fields are mandatory. You fill them up as you require them, but this gets set up and you've got the certificate set up. The next step is to attach the certificate to a course. So for example, let's say I will select a course, which is, let's say, acceptable use of technology. We go to 2.4 and we go to certification and we add the certificate we just created, like so. And now that I've created, let me enroll myself into the course. I will just use group enroll to enroll myself. Like so. Now let's say I've done the course. I'll just go and complete myself. I can go and complete. So I would find that on my home page, under my certificates, I have got that certificate now. And because I put 365 days for expiration, this is expiring on 1st of December. And here's the certificate. I can click on and see the details, when it's expiring and how I was awarded. And if I want, I can print the certificate out as well. And as you can see, the template I uploaded, it has now gone and filled up my name, the name of the course, and all the duration and all the other information that I requested. And it has created that PDF, and I can download or I can print it out directly. So this is how the certificate works. For those who want to know how the PDF template was set up, we can have a look at it from the repository. So this is how the certificate of assistant is like. We can't see it, but this is actually a PDF form that has got fields over here that is filled up and will show up if you open this using a PDF form editor. So that's how you would create a certificate and attach them to a learning module. You can also upload certificate information using the certificate CSV loader. So let's say someone has gone and done a particular course for which they have been awarded a certificate. So you can use the certificate CSV loader to upload that information into the LMS. And you can, under awarded certificate CSV loader, you'll find a template that you can use, which basically requires these fields over here: user ID, award ID, certificate title, certificate code, when it's achieved, expired dates, comments, and other things. And you can click on the CSV formatting help to get an explanation of what each of these fields means and what data should go into filling up this field and get it and upload it into the system. So clicking on import CSV file, it asks you to select a CSV file, and then you can do a preview, and then you just upload the certificate into the system, and it shows up in users certificates list. So that brings us to the end of today's topics. Just a quick reminder, as this is how to request support modes. You can request support using support ticket from our support.globalvision.com.au. You can email or phone in your support requests as well. However, using the support system with support ticket is the preferred way. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Our contact details are over here on the screen now. And that brings us to the end of our session today. I'm ready to take questions. Any questions, anybody? Okay, so we will then finish this session. Thank you for joining us.